Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bladensburg Town Council meeting for Monday, February 13th. Again, it is Valentine's Day Eve for those who celebrate Valentine's Day. We are now called to order, and I would like to turn tonight's prayer over to Councilmember McBride. And if you wouldn't mind, Councilmember, just saying a special prayer for the family of Tyree Nichols, who was tragically murdered in Tennessee, and we just want to pray for the family who's still mourning his loss.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come today to say thank you. Thank you for your love, your grace, and your mercy. Thank you for keeping us safe from hurt, harm, and danger. We ask you to remember the bereaved families on today. We pray that you will touch their bodies, touch their hearts, touch their minds. We ask you to give them strength in their time of bereavement. Lord, we ask you to keep their loved ones, keep them safe wherever they are today, far and near. We ask you to bless the mayor. We ask you to bless the council, everyone that's assembled, bless our chief, all of our officers, all of our staff tonight. We desire to do what's pleasing unto you. We desire to do what's pleasing for the people of the town of Bladensburg. We ask you to bless us all together, lovely. Strengthen us in our hearts and our minds. Help us to be unified, to become one, to work together and not separate. That the common cause of the betterment of Bladensburg will be what we do. We thank you, Father. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that beautiful prayer. Mr. Gray, are you able to bring up the flag for us for the Pledge of Allegiance? And then Councilmember Rout, do you mind leading us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
for
stands,
which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice
and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Definitely appreciate that. For tonight, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments, questions, or edits? I did want to add, I just noticed, so I see a representative from Congressman Glenn Ivey's office on the line, Mr. Ethan Swift. If you all would mind just allowing him to introduce himself under appearances, I would ask for that edit to the agenda. And seeing no other changes, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. So again, at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Sweep to the community and to the town staff and town council and turn it over to you at this time, sir.
Well, thank you, Mayor James. Hello, Council. I am Ethan Sweep. I am the community liaison for Congressman Glenn Ivey. I am here tonight just to introduce myself to all of you and let you know that our office is here to help with anything that you need. So feel free to reach out to us for anything at all, because we really do, want to support the district and support the constituents, your constituents who live in Bladensburg. A couple of announcements that I have. So we're going to be starting up a grants newsletter soon. I'm hoping to get that pushed out this week. I'm just waiting on a couple finishing touches from the house. But that will come out hopefully on a weekly basis and have information on federal grants that are available. It will have resources and trainings and webinars that we're we're getting set up so that you all can write better grants and hopefully get more funding to get the projects done that you all want to get done. We will also be starting our community project funding appropriations request sometime soon. So that is a grant process that is done through the House appropriations process. So right now we are still waiting on guidance as to how the fiscal year 2024 process is going to look like and how much funding is going to be available. So I can't really say too much about it, but we would love to set up a meeting with all of you to talk about any sort of large projects that you have or ways that we can see whether or not, you'd be a good candidate for that funding. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop my contact information here in the chat so you all have it. Feel free to send me an email anytime. I'm more than happy to sit down virtually. You can come to our district office down in Largo, or a phone call, really whatever works for you guys. And with that, if anybody has any questions or anything while I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Sweet, for sharing your contact information here in the chat. I'll make sure I grab your number. I believe I have your email. Just one thing as it relates to appropriations. So not this past Saturday, the previous Saturday at State Senator Malcolm Augustine's District 47 Leaders Breakfast, had a quick conversation with the congressman about the Bladensburg Trade School that we're looking to build. And he did ask me to follow up so we can talk further about that. So not just from the funding perspective, but also about some of the trades that we'd like to address with this and some other connections that he may have for the town of Bladensburg as we work to get that project off the ground. So I will circle back to you after tonight's meeting to just get the initial conversation started, to get information to bring back to the team. But just wanted to put that bug in your ear while waiting for other hands, which I do not see at this moment, but I know we are excited about this grants newsletter. So we will be looking forward to learning all about funding opportunities for town projects, and appreciate you being a resource, not just with the opportunities, but also the training so we can write competitive grants and hopefully bring those dollars back to our community.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to help. So reach out, and yeah, we'll get something scheduled and on the books for us to meet. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and have a great evening.
Yeah, you guys too.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you again, Council, for that amendment to the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, but Mr. Charnovich, I didn't see those in my packet, so I think we should probably table those until next meeting. Or did anyone else see them in there?
No, they weren't
Okay.
completed yet, Mayor. So,
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
table
so
that,
we'll
please.
add that to March. Okay. And at this time, I'm sorry, Siri's talking in the background. Sorry about that. At this time, we'll move forward with public comments, and I will turn the meeting over to Mr. Charnovich. Please take a sip of water so we can get through your all your comments. I saw that Officer Reinhardt's got his. Councilmember Brown.
We have 3 comments tonight, Mayor, so I do need to raise my glass. Cheers to that. All right, our first comment is from Christina Dukes, town resident. I am writing to express my support for the initiative introduced by Councilwoman Jocelyn Rout for the use of and rebate for residential Ring cameras or other brands that provide a similar product. I'd like this email to be registered as an official public comment. I support the Ring camera doorbell initiative because I believe it is a relatively inexpensive way to extend the eyes and ears of Bladensburg police by leveraging views from the front of the homes of Bladensburg residents. The police will have access to video footage from all around the neighborhood, helping to prevent, deter crime, and have video footage of any crimes that may be committed. I believe the Ring camera rebate would be a positive and appreciated service for Bladensburg residents, and also would increase security and safety at the individual home and community levels. Further, while I enjoy being a Bladensburg homeowner, I am concerned that our town is being left behind surrounding communities such as Mount Rainier and Hyattsville, which are modernizing and flourishing with businesses and other resident creature comforts, while Bladensburg, by comparison, lags behind in modernization and development. Advancing the Ring Camera Initiative would be a small step in the right direction for the safety and development of our community. Please accept this communication as an official public comment in support of the Ring Camera Initiative. Respectfully, Christina Dukes. All right. Our second public comment this evening is from town resident Antoinette Bruno. Dear Mayor and council members, I am ready to inform you about the Kenilworth Avenue off-ramp leading to the 48th Street and Quincy Street intersection in front of the historical Boswick House. My concern is that this intersection is increasingly becoming dangerous. Over the years, I've witnessed many drivers using the off-ramp to travel to 48th Street, not obeying the stop sign, with many just doing a rolling stop and not coming to a complete stop or not stopping at all. Another issue is there's no identifiable sign to alert the off-ramp drivers that oncoming drivers driving on 48th Street en route to Quincy Street have the right of way, as they do not have a stop sign. This is evident in a recent accident that occurred on Sunday, February 5th, 2023 in the morning. Adding to this intersection problem, it is a walking path for some pedestrians. If drivers are rolling through stop signs, that can be very hazardous to our most valued citizens who use it daily. I recommend 3 options. 1, close the off-ramp. 2, put signage to alert off-ramp drivers that oncoming traffic has the right of way. 3, install a traffic light. Respectfully, Antoinette Bruno. All right. Almost there. Our third and last public comment is from town resident Susan McCutcheon. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Bladensburgers. I am greatly concerned about the issue raised by a Nextdoor posting last week regarding the county executive and developers recently touring the vacant Central Baptist Church buildings, wanting to use them as a homeless shelter and training center, a strange pairing of uses and not what this community needs. The precipitous posting has inadvertently promulgated misunderstanding. I live on Spring Road, and alarmed neighbors are contacting me, erroneously claiming the town is proposing a homeless shelter, a rumor I have tried to dispel. While the posting alerted the Bladensburg community, the effect of an elected official posting incomplete and unofficial information on a far-flung site prone to the spread of rumors and often flip and rude commentary is counterproductive. It does not constitute a proper community survey, as seemed to be the intent. An electronic survey should be sent to the community through official channels. Our county executive should not have intruded on our community without notification to the mayor and council about her intentions for and the discussion of our development needs. Would it be wise to have a homeless shelter next to a poorly maintained shopping center already patrolled for carjackings and vagrants across the road from similar shabby business sites? Or is that the point, that it is of no consequence what is placed into our under-resourced community? I hope the council will be able to cut to the chase with the county and relay the firm message that our community expects and deserves the proper respect when it comes to our development options. We must have a seat at the table because this is our home. Thank you, Susan McCutcheon, town resident. Thank you, Mayor. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich, for reading the public comments submitted for tonight's meeting. And thank you to every resident who took time to share your concerns with us so we can work to address those directly with you moving forward. At this time, that completes the public comment. So we do not have any unfinished business for tonight's meeting. So we'll move right into financial business, beginning with Mr. Tonelli for the FY24 budget workshop sessions.
Evening, Mayor and Council, and again, happy pre-Valentine's Day to everybody. About this time of year, we put out just to get some things on paper. I always like to say a draft budget calendar, so folks could see, kind of looking forward into our budget sessions that really ramp up in the last quarter of this year. And I'm going to share my screen. We didn't do this last year, and I feel like we kind of missed it. But that was I'd rather see it on paper in this format. Again, this is like the main thing about first of all, can everybody see my screen? The budget calendar? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Main thing about this is it's subject to change. Okay, so we just get something on paper. What happens this month, the big date is tomorrow. We should get our constant yield rate notice from the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. This builds most of our budget because this sets the we see what the property tax assessments are times the town's property tax rate. So that this will start the budget process rolling on our end at least. You can see in March, we have the Mayor and Council meeting on the 13th. I like to talk about budget priorities, any budget priorities that can be brought forward, discussed. I know we're doing a lot of that with ARPA right now, and that's really, doing a lot for us right now. But it sounds like some of the budget priorities we heard this evening are definitely are going to be on community events, and of course, our staffing levels and everything to make sure we're delivering the great service that we do here for the town. April is where we really kick things into high gear at the budget normally. That's because we have 9 good months of financials behind us. We have 3/4 of the year behind us. We got good trends and everything. We see where we're going, what the needs are for next fiscal year. You can see April 10th is a Mayor and Council work sessions and meetings. And the budget sessions I have slated for the next 2 Mondays. Now, I don't know if this works for everybody, but we can discuss this. Everybody can look out into their, I don't know if you have your calendars done yet through April or anything, but trying to get this on paper for 17th and the 24th. And this really is the town talking to the Mayor and Council about, the financials and budgeting process and trying to get input from you all and everything. April 27th is when we have to have our constant yield rate advertisement put out into local media. I got to see what local print media is left anymore. That's going to be a challenge, of course. May 8th is the Mayor and Council meeting again. But this one, we will have the constant yield hearing as a separate meeting within the open meeting that we do every year. And we also do the budget ordinance first read. Doesn't mean it's done. We just have to do, the budget has to be done in 2 reads, has to be finalized in June. So we do a first read in May. And of course, we can continue to talk about it, discuss it, and make changes. And I have another work session posted a couple weeks later to give some break, maybe get some more input from the community. This is after Mother's Day on the 14th, so I didn't want to do it on the 15th, the day after Mother's Day, so that's why I picked the 22nd. And June 5th has put as a placeholder for additional budget work session if needed. This is work session number 4. And June 12th is the adoption of the budget, second read, which does not interfere with MML because MML is down here at the end of the month. I think this year we had to reschedule. Was it this year or last year we had to reschedule? I forget. But MML is down there at the end of the month now. So this is just something playing around with for discussion for the Mayor and Council. I would like to maybe finalize this next month, maybe, so we can publish this, so the community knows what's going on, can be put out in the newsletter and everything. But I'm gonna stop there, just see if the dates work, or take it home, digest it, come back next meeting and we talk more about it.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for giving us the overview. I will say I do have a conflict on the 22nd and won't be available. In that prior week, I could make the 15th through the 17th work. But again, I know you said check calendar, so want to give everyone else an opportunity to check schedules. Are there any glaring conflicts for the council or any of the directors so far? Just at a quick glance.
Yeah, so Easter Monday is April 10th. And I know that's our council meeting.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure if we want to be here longer, or I don't know. Maybe we can move it to the week before, April 3rd.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, especially if folks are planning to travel for the Easter holiday.
That's why I had that crossed out there in the 9th, so we could
Oh.
see that. Thank you for catching that.
Mhm.
I just wanted to just
Okay.
put it out there.
So think about it, and then if everyone's okay at the March 13th council meeting, we can finalize the schedule so it can get posted and published and all the necessary channels if that works.
And I would say email Mr. Charnovich and or myself, and just so we have some input that we can go back to.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, so continuing with financial business, I think Mr. Tonelli, we're still with you with the audit management letter presentation.
Yes, let me find it real quick. Let me find it. That didn't come up, did it?
It didn't.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I have 13 screens open. I'm gonna try to close some out real quick. Did everybody get that in their packet?
Yes, from the LSWG,
Yes.
the public accountants.
Ah, there you are.
Okay, it's
Everybody see
coming
it
up now.
Sorry about that.
All good, it's technology.
Okay, this I don't think was presented during the audit. It was written at the date of the audit, but they couldn't release it until they received a document from us, really a document from our town attorney saying that there's been no litigious cases or new items come up since the completion of the audit. And once we sent that to the auditor, they released this. This is a letter to the mayor and council about the audit. Just a recap, the audit, we received a positive opinion like we always do. But this is just more about the process of the audit. And we communicated information on engagement letter. Okay, so just going to run through this real quick. Qualitative aspects of accounting practices. This was also in the audit. There was a GASB number, Government Accounting Standards Board, release number 87 that the town adopted in regards to leases. It says that the town adopted this. Well, the town didn't really adopt it. Everybody adopted it as soon as it came out. So this just reclassed the leases as a capitalized asset, basically. So before, leases were just expensed as we made the payments, like operating leases. You write $400 monthly payment for a copier, it's just expensed. Now with the capital leases, the entire liability of leases over here in the balance sheet, and you expense out the principal and interest, just like you do with like a mortgage payment or any kind of car payment or anything else. Difficulties encountered in the audit, no difficulties. Uncorrected misstatements, they said any are clearly trivial, and that is, things related to what dates or the dates on invoices or checks paid or something have to match up when the actual invoice date is and everything. But this says are clearly trivial. I don't recall any disagreements with management. There were no such disagreements with management. They requested certain presentations from management, including a management rep letter. That was done at the same time. We can go out and get a second opinion on their audit, and we reserve the right to do that. Other findings or issues, that there were none, just discussions about the audit in the normal course of our professional relationship. Other matters, we did not audit the RSI. I know what RSI is. That's required supplementary information. That is the schedules on the back, but they're the ones that put the schedules together based on their audit financials. There's only one thing about the council minutes. We could not locate the July and September 2021 minutes. That's when a new town administrator took over. And there's some crossing there. So I know they're done. We just cannot find the actual hard copy of those minutes. It's not a finding. It's just that, they suggest that they need to be part of the town's actual records. We're still trying to find those, by the way. We are sure they're here. And that is it.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for walking us through that. And I'm glad you said, with respect to the July and 2021 minutes, that you're still trying to track those down. I mean, hopefully there's a recording somewhere where they can be recapped or from the agendas and different things. But if you need help, just know we're here. I mean, most of us take notes during these meetings, and we can send you what we have if you need to compile them into the proper format for the July and September 2021 minutes.
And I think we all have notes. I just, and that was like, I believe right when Mr. Charnovich started too. So there's a lot of transition right there. And, so it's, we'll pull those together, but that will be on a future meeting. So don't be surprised maybe if it comes up for approval.
Okay, perfect. Councilmember Brown, you had a question?
Oh, no, just input, Mayor, to your point to that, it should have been recorded, right? Because we were on Zoom.
I think that might have been that particular administrator's first meeting. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And
but-
that's part of the discovery that they're trying to figure out is there a recording? And yeah. Mr. Charnovich.
So, yeah, just real quickly, because Mr. Telly and I did discuss this internally also, but as we're discussing it tonight for the sake of the public discussion. So I started here in October of 2021, right after this. And I will say that the one of those two meetings, we did a bit of a dive on it. We talked with Mr. Gray, Mr. Jeffries, we looked around, I think, at our YouTube channel, and one of those two set videos does not exist at all. And I guess I bring that up in the context of, I would personally be willing to go back and redo the minutes if I had the video. It would not be that difficult to reproduce. But at least one of the two videos it's mine. I wasn't here, but from what I hear, something happened with the video or the audio, and it never materialized. So we will need to somehow piece that together with the agenda and notes and things of that nature. And I'm not sure, Mr. Tennelly, if we decided that was both sets of those minutes or just one. I think it might have been just the July 2021 meeting, but I can't definitively recall. But
Yeah, I remember we had some issues. We did it in person and kind of a hybrid, I think. And we had some issues, I believe. I think we had a auditor trying to come in and he couldn't. And it was logistically difficult, I remember, from those meetings. So
Yeah, that does ring a bell. And we did have technical challenges that July council meeting. You're right. So, I mean, worst case, we can try to, if everyone's okay, if you can just go back in your personal files and just see if you have any notes that you could send over to Mr. Charnovich, that might help to start from, because we have to have something on record. So appreciate everyone being willing to help. Mr. Charnovich, your hand is still up. Was that from before or another question?
oh, sorry, no, I didn't lower it, but
Okay.
I'm willing to help get those two sets finalized in any way that needs done.
Perfect. Thank
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure, absolutely. And then, pardon me, jumping down to new business, because we just completed the financial business section. I did just want to call out as a point of record that because we do have to announce when we go back into our public meetings, we did have 2 closed sessions last week with the town council, one on Thursday, February 9th, per Article 3-305, per the Maryland Open Meetings Act. We closed the meeting under provision number 7 to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And then the following day, which was Friday, February 10th, we did go into closed session under the same Open Meetings Act, but this time it was provision number 4 to consider a matter that concerns the proposal for a business or industrial organization to locate, expand, or remain in the state. And so did just want to call that out because that was new since the last time that the council had the monthly meetings, just so everyone in the community is aware. And so with that, want to continue on with the items here. We did discuss the budget priorities for presentation to the Prince George's County Executive at the March meeting that is being planned. And what the team discussed in the work session was really focusing in on 2 areas. One being safe passage, so that we leverage the opportunity to have money in the county executive's budget to increase street lighting throughout the community as a means of safety to help with that effort. And then secondly was to address stormwater issues, and that was inclusive of asking for additional funding to ramp up drain maintenance, the frequency of that. Also to address the culvert that flows through the community and making sure we address the source, or not the source, but the materials there, or looking at if we can't have sustainable materials to help with the absorption into the earth as it causes water to flow during heavy periods of rain, looking at solutions such as enclosing it to prevent water from flowing over the bank into the neighboring communities. So whether it's the condos or the homes in town, that's a major concern. But then also asking for funding for the industrial, the business industrial park, where flooding is also an issue because we don't have adequate drains in that community. So those were the areas identified. And I do want to note the clarification from Councilmember Rout was with safe passage funding, it was for lighting as well as additional sidewalks in the community. So those are the areas that we will present from the financial allocations for County Executive also Brooks's budget. Any additions or questions from the team? Okay. And then the next item, we actually can move forward because we did address the letters of support. I'll just report out to the community. The council did take a vote to provide a letter of support to the Prince George's County Council in support of legislation for rent stabilization. as well as on the state legislative side for in support of legislation, we'll provide a letter of support for Delegate Nicole Williams's bill for the maglev. Let me just flip back and actually give the community those bill numbers in case you're interested in also providing input. So with respect to CB 007-2023, that is for the County Council for Prince George's County for the Rent Stabilization Act of 2023. Councilmember Rao, can you remind the community of when the hearing is scheduled for so we can encourage residents to also submit letters and testimony?
I gotta find it. Hold on.
Okay, I'll go to the next one and give you a second.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'll find it.
And then on the state legislative side, again, asking for, or actually the council did approve submitting a letter of support for, again, Delegate Nicole Williams's bill in the House in the state. This is House Bill 106, which will go before the Environment and Transportation and Appropriations Committee on February 23rd. And we're just trying to codify the fact that Maryland taxpayers will not be on the hook for the maglev if it does move forward, if it's not financially beneficial to the developer, and they run into some constraints that taxpayer dollars will not be used to, in any sort of way, support that transportation project. And so again, the council did vote in support of sending in a letter of testimony for that legislation as well. Did you find it? I'm sorry to put you on the
It's
spot.
I believe it's April 28th.
Okay, and perhaps we can include it in a community upcoming e-blast with a link to the legislation and then the details about the date if that works for everyone. Okay. And then next up, we have the Board of Supervisor appointments for the town of Bladensburg is something that per our charter is required. And typically that has to be done, I believe, by the first Monday in the month of March. However, we have not, or correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Charnovich, I don't know that we've gotten any nominations from the community. So we may have to vote to delay that until the March council meeting to give more members of the community an opportunity to sign up. But I think alternatively, if we don't get residents, we should very seriously consider contacting the Prince George's County Election Board and asking if they would just run the election for us. And then that way it's totally objective. We don't have, to rely on resident volunteers. We can just pay them to come in to run it. And it's less work on behalf of our community members as an alternate. So any reactions or disagreements there with just giving more time for people to submit their names? Mr. Charnovich?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I would say that, yeah, from my perspective, I'm at a bit of a disadvantage. I think, as I just mentioned, I started here October 2021, right after the last election. So while I've been through many an election in my career, this will be my first one going through here in Bladensburg. So I have not worked with any of the former members who were on the board of elections. Nor am I, familiar with. I've seen their names, but I've not worked with them prior. So just need more time to figure out who may want to continue from 2021, or if you have anyone new who would like to join, we can figure that out.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good starting point with the folks who worked the previous election, like you said, to see if they're interested and then branch out from there. But again, I think that it's important to, as has been done in the past, to have enough people for the shifts so that there's that AM and PM shift so you don't have people there all day. And again, if we can't get enough volunteers, I think we have to have a plan B, because by March, we have to have that solidified, just to be transparent, because we're in the election year. So time is not on our side as it relates to that timing.
I agree, Mayor. Thank you.
Absolutely. And so with that, we have completed the new business items and are now into staff reports. And so,
Mayor,
yes.
I'm sorry, I did raise my hand just a little bit late. But considering the time frame, and this is an election year, we may really want to consider the Plan B, which is, I think it's a good Plan B, looking at the timeliness, so.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for that feedback. So I want to open it up. Councilmember McBride and Councilmember Rao, any thoughts there in terms of just contacting the Prince George's County Board of Elections about running things for us?
Due to this being a potential election year for myself, I would not like to comment. I don't want to be coercing or influencing anything.
Thank you for that. Councilmember McBride?
For me, I mean, I would think it would be good to have them to help.
Just
This
for
would
that
be my-
independence. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was interesting the last time around. And so I think it would just take that layer of responsibility and accountability off the residents and just put it on those who are used to running bigger elections. So yeah, Councilmember Brown, did I miss you again, or was your
No,
hand still up? Okay.
But I just wanted to say too, especially for the ones who are running this year for reelection, I mean, I definitely think that it would be a very positive and I don't know, impartial, type of election. So I think it would be good and be healthy. So if that did happen, just want the council members who are running for reelection this year to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, and it sounds like the majority of us are in agreement with just having that independent body to run the election. So Mr. Charnovich, would you mind just reaching out to find out how we would start that process? Again, the last time around, it was a bit challenging. So I think that this might be a good time to try something different and insert some more objectivity into the process and actually take the burden off our residents too, from having to spend the day helping out. And if you could just let us know so that we can get the information in advance. If we have any questions, work those out with you and come prepared to vote in a particular direction at that March meeting.
And we
I'll do
do
that,
have
Mayor.
two Bladensburg residents that have been considered to be appointed by Governor Moore on the PG County Board of Elections as well. So I don't know, if the other members of the council knew that as well. So I just wanted to share that little piece of information to
Yep.
residents.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Rao. I did share with our colleagues about those pending appointments. Yes.
Okay.
And I think to that end, it may even, what was in the back of my mind too, is just communicating that to the Board of Elections. And so the preference would be to have non-residents working this in order to have as much transparency in the process as possible. So no one can come back and say anything about how things were run. So, Mr. Charnovich, it's one more thing on your list, sir. All right.
All good, Mayor. We can add it to the our running spreadsheet we discussed in the work session.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's
running
on there.
spreadsheet.
I put it on there. All right. So with
Thank you,
that,
Mayor.
yeah, absolutely. So we're now into staff reports. And so, Mr. Tonelli, we're coming back to you with the financial report from the treasurer.
Okay, 3 minutes. I'm not going to go that long. Share my screen. Okay, everybody have this in the packet. I kind of combined the graphs with the narrative along with about the financials year date through January. So we're 7 months into the fiscal year. We've received almost, our revenues are doing much better. And one of the reasons is that our business personal property tax is far exceeding our projections. I'm going to scroll down real quick just so you can see this. Right here, the budget was $775,000, and we've received almost $1 million of assessments that we billed out for, and we still have the last quarter of this year for the new assessments. So we expect this to probably double in size compared to budget. Just about all the property taxes have been received through the county because the due date is December 31st. Something that's not on here is the red light fund. The speed camera funds. We received those in February. There's a January statement. We received almost $290,000 of revenues from the speed cameras, and those are going to be put into a special revenue fund. They will be reported as revenues for this year, but they will have their own separate column of revenues versus allowable expenses for it, and any unspent funds go into reserve fund at the end of the year as part of our fund balance to be used for future periods. Just about one thing I do want to point here is our budget now. Let me scroll up real quick. Is approaching $10 million because the ARPA funds. You can see our budget normally runs around $6.25, $6.5 million. So our budget has pretty much increased by almost 50%. And we're still doing it with a small staff here on the administrative side. We're still getting things done. We have a lot more programs going out, and we do have some vacancies, but it's manageable, and we are handling that now. Expenses, we're pretty much in line. Some of the things like with public safety has accelerated our expenses, and that's because of increased trainings, vehicle repairs, and also the body cameras and tasers, which are going to be on a lease. That we talked about it with the audit piece, but that will level out as it gets to year end. But everybody else is pretty much in line. I just do want to show the ARPA dashboard really quick, because I have like 30 seconds. Did this come up? The ARPA dashboard. Okay. Cumulative, total awards 4.9 million. We budgeted about 2/3 of the total ARPA award and have expended about 1/3 of it. So we have a plan for 2/3 of it right now, spend about 1/3, and we still have a year and a half or 2 years left with the ARPA funds. So I just want to highlight that. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Tonelli. And it's great to see
I went over 30
those.
seconds. I'm sorry.
It's all good. The personal property tax update bought you 30 seconds.
Okay.
Keep bringing good news. You get more time. That's how it works. No, I'm teasing. So at this time, we'll turn it over to Chief Collington and hear the public safety and code enforcement update from him and Officer Reinhardt.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, community, residents, and colleagues. I just report out that for the month of January, our units responded to 712 calls for service within the city, within the town, and we will continue to make public safety a high priority of ours. Also, during the month of January, we had our Coffee with the Cop. We spotlighted or highlighted Parkview Apartments this month. I'm sorry, in January, we highlighted Parkview. January the 13th, we participated in the reopening ceremony at the Walmart They have been great partners of ours, and at the end of the ceremony, they presented the Bladensburg Police Department with a donation, a check of $1,500 to support our robust youth programs. So we want to thank them certainly for their generosity. January the 20th, we had a teen night at the rec center. This is again our vision of engaging with our youth, especially our teenagers, to have outreach activities for them. And we're again grateful to our partners from the rec center. January the 27th, myself and Mayor James attended the Bladensburg High School Girls Soccer Awards Gala, which was really well attended. We had a great time up there to support our young ladies. Many of them are seniors, and they will be moving on to college. So they had many of them have already been accepted. So we wanted to go up there and show our support to the Bladensburg High School girls soccer team. On January 27th, myself and Councilmember Rout and McBride attended the State's Attorney's Municipal Retreat, which was very informative and engaging, and a lot of ideas were shared there. So we want to continue to strengthen our relationships with our State's Attorney's Office as well. Her team did a great job putting that event together. It was well represented by all 27 municipalities within Prince George County. We did have a graduation. How I'm doing, man? We did have a graduation. John Therafall, our former dispatcher. We want to give kudos to him. He endured 26 weeks of the police academy, and he's now on the street serving the residents of Bladensburg. Now, on a serious note, we had a serious fatal car crash in the 5200 block of Annapolis Road, where one of our young residents of the town of Bladensburg did unfortunately lose her life in that crash right in front of the 5200 block of Annapolis Road. And then we did have a shooting in the 4200 block of 58th Avenue, and that was an isolated incident. We did obtain arrest warrants, and that individual responsible for that incident is in custody. And lastly, I want to give kudos to our shot spotter, our gun detection technology. We had another shooting in town, and due to our technology, it put us right on top of the shooters, and to the tune where our officers actually saw the fire, the gunfire being exchanged, and we were able to make arrests on that individual. And he was a prohibited person, so he is currently incarcerated. And I will leave my report there. I think I had like 2 seconds left, or 2 seconds.
Literally, it's just going off, Chief. I
Yes,
am
ma'am.
impressed, but I know
yeah.
you have a detailed written report, so the community can look forward to hearing that. And then I did want to give Officer Reinhardt an opportunity. Sir, go ahead.
No problem. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and happy Valentine's Day Eve to all. Just want to report out on some January activities for code enforcement. Over the past month, we've been conducting residential property inspections to deal with abandoned vehicles and also with open storage violations. During those inspections, we've came across 6 vehicles in the community with no tags or expired tags. 2 of those vehicles were impounded. We had 13 total abandoned vehicles collectively in the town between the businesses, the residential, and in the apartment complexes. All those vehicles have been addressed. I want to congratulate again Officer Therafall and Sergeant Goins, Shaw, and Waters, and welcome them to the family of the town of Bladensburg. And that's my report.
Thank you so much, Code Enforcement Officer Reinhardt. Appreciate that information. And we'll move down to the town clerk and interim town administrator report.
Thank you, Mayor. I did not prepare anything formal for tonight, but I would touch on maybe an overarching point, I guess. As I'm sitting here during the meeting, thinking through the upcoming budget season that's upon us. I would say in conjunction with us in the last discussion we had in the work session about the projects sheet list that we're going to manage. You know, a lot of stuff happening in the clerk's office and the interim town administrator's office. And I think this is a very important time, a very important, this budget season for Bladensburg. I mean, I would say, speaking for myself, you know, last year at this time, I wasn't in this dual role that I'm doing. It was about 3 months before May when I took this over. So I'm looking forward to helping to lead this with the department heads over the next couple of months. As far as the budget season goes, you know, the budget is the heart of the organization. It pumps the blood to all the departments and how we manage day to day and year to year. So I'm looking forward to collaborating in this capacity as the budget season moves along, and a lot of these projects we talk about in this list will then help to formulate and prioritize the future for the next 12 to 18 months for Bladensburg. And I guess my heart analogy, I guess there's a pun in there somewhere with it being Valentine's Eve. And I guess I could finish with just saying that wishing everybody a happy Valentine's Day for you and your Valentine, if that's your thing. You know, I always tell my family that love is a verb, it's not a noun. So I tell them that we speak about that frequently in our household. So it's all about the actions that you give one another every single day. So I hope that everyone has a great Valentine's Day and a good rest of your month. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich, and appreciate that. Right back at you with the well wishes for a good Valentine's Day and the rest of the month. At this time, we are privileged to have Mr. Hall with us. Good evening, sir. Turn it over to you for the Public Works report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. I only had about 2 things to highlight. First of all, we was talking about the tree company. I mean, the tree planting from CCOG. I met with them at Evergreen Cemetery. There's a potential spot for a lot of trees to be planted there, in which that we know, I don't know if everybody knows that we have about, they say about 300 trees that they're willing to share with the town of Bladensburg, the waterfront park, and some elementary schools in the town, which is a good idea because the town ourselves just don't have enough room to put 300 trees. And it was a blessing to hear that we had other partnerships that's wanting to receive some tree cover as well too. That's a great thing. And prior to CCOG coming into the Evergreen Cemetery, I'll be working with a tree company to come remove some of the aging trees over there. We've identified about 21 trees, aging trees and little saplings that need to be replaced. And we got a nice quote for about $7,000 for them to come in there, and with the equipment that they have to use and to be very precautious about the gravestones and everything. $7,000, almost $8,000, $7,950 is not a bad deal. And I will take pictures prior to it and after to show what is done. And also when we meet with CCOG, after they tree company remove all the dead trees and unwanted trees, then CCOG can come in there and plant as will. So that's a good thing, and we're stepping right on it, because I think, as we all know, we're getting a little warm weather coming a little bit quicker now. So the quicker the warm weather, the better the tree. I mean, better time for planting before it get too hot out there. And that's probably about as much as we're gonna do at Evergreen Cemetery. As y'all know, it's been an ongoing project from there since I started. So I have a PowerPoint. I have pictures of when we first got here till now of what it looks like. It's about 65%, a little bit better than what it was. We still trying to reach that 100% goal to where it's more visible, and people can come up there and visit the cemetery the way that it's supposed to be visited. And also, the town of Bladensburg, our Public Works Department, we have been going through repairing some no parking signs. As you know, over a period of time, 2-3 years, our no parking signs are fade on now. They, kids write on them, they lose letters. So we've went through and replaced probably about 25 no parking signs just throughout the town, that some of them is a little bit more visible than others. So that's what we did. And also, I know in a work session, we've been talking about the lighting project. You know, we need it throughout the town as everybody need more lighting. And I'm unfortunately to say that we have kicked off the project. I'm at the new project on 57th Avenue, and I have just received invoice from Pepco to install a 200 amp meter pedestal, which the 200 amp meter pedestal is what will feed the new LED lights that we are putting in place during this project. So all that has to be done before we do anything. So I'll reach out to Rich and we'll send it over. 'Cause I just got, I think was it this morning or something. I just got the invoice or yesterday from Pepco, and I was sending it over to Rich. And I think that I mean, you know, that's a standard cost for anywhere. It's not just the cost for the town of Bladensburg. That's just a statewide cost for Pepco to come pull off of their lines to install the meter for us to have access to power. And we move it. I mean, the project seemed like it's taking a long time. It is when you're dealing with a ballpark project of probably over $500,000. It takes a little bit of time because you have more than 2-3 contractors, entities that working together, and we all trying to be on the same page. We're all trying to meet at the same time. But what I really want to tell y'all is we are moving this project along a little bit faster than we expected. So we don't want to wait to when school is over with to try to put all our ducks in a row, try to get permits, try to reach out to the county. The county may have other priorities that's a little bit higher than coming out for a street light. And so we're trying to put all this in perspective right now. So when it's time to go, we have everything in the manila folder and can hand it on over. And basically with that, I think that's probably about most of the highlights that we've pretty much the extent highlights that we've doing in the town, I mean, Public Works Department right at the moment. And for the record, I at least wanted to say happy birthday to a co-worker of ours, Gambino Cardozo. He's been with the town, been with me for going on 11 years. Very super guy. Happy birthday.
I would agree with that. We wish Gambino a very, very happy birthday. He is a longtime worker and so dedicated and just a wonderful person to know. So please pass on our birthday wishes to Gambino. Bino. Thank you, Mr. Hall. I do have a couple of questions for you though before finishing your report. So in terms of Evergreen Cemetery, so I was approached by someone who's interested in doing a cleanup over there. Would that be possible, even if we coordinated it with the upcoming Earth Day and Growing Green with Pride, if I could get those volunteers on board? I have to look at their availability, and if not, then I can come back to you with another date. But I just wanted to clear that with you before we try going up there, because we do have to get access to the grounds and everything.
Yes, ma'am. Now, when you say the cleanup, is to be frankly, it's not a lot of trash up there or anything like that. So that's why I wanted to go a little bit deep. What type of cleanup besides trash or?
So we were thinking along the lines of litter, just because along that street, you see a lot of the buildup as you exit the town going into the unincorporated area. And
Yes,
but also, I know we probably don't have the funding to repair any of the grave sites, but even just doing things like putting flowers out there, just things to beautify it, even if it's planting versus putting cut flowers out there, would that be a possibility?
Yes, ma'am. And that's a good question. So on our next meeting, I'm putting together an action plan for the Evergreen Cemetery as we speak, and some of that will be along the line, and also the retaining wall out front that, you know, the bricks are coming down. And also, I don't know if everybody been up in there, but we have an asphalt driveway that go up and goes around. That needs to be replaced, I mean, repaired and everything. So I'm putting together an action plan for the Evergreen Cemetery, and something like that would be nice to be on the list as well too.
And could we look at a sustainable option, the cost for something that's not asphalt for the driveway, just to compare?
Sure.
Okay. And then the last question is, because I ran into a resident this weekend, near the Sunnybrook sign, we planted mums last year for Growing Green with Pride in the Fall at the entrance. And
ma'am.
the resident, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, but the resident wanted to know if you would be okay if she did some more beautification there and maintain it since it's near her lovely home. So, you know, when the moms go idle because they're out of season, putting some other things out there, I told her I would check with you, but then also we could add that to our list and get some volunteers to help her so she's not doing that project by herself. But she was like, I just need to check with Mr. Hall and make sure it's okay. And we're out here talking, so I just wanted to run it by you. And I promised her I would ask you, so I'm bringing it up so I can follow back up with her.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. That will be no problem. And when we
Okay.
when we come to plant up there, and also that is a section. There's 3 little cherry trees right there that has a disease that just don't want to
Oh.
grow. So that's going to be part of the seed-call planting area as well too.
Got it. Okay, good to know. All right, thank you, Mr. Hall. And I see Councilmember Brown has a question for you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, Mr. Hall, since we're talking about the Evergreen Cemetery, could you also maybe put on the list, because there is a fence that separates the Evergreen Cemetery property from the Bladensburg condominiums property. And you can see it during the wintertime when the leaves and when the trees are bare. And that fence is just dilapidated, it's part of it's falling down. So if at all possible, if we can put the fence on there, and I don't know if there's some funding out there, someone to help support it, but the fence. And I'm sure that you've probably seen the fence in disrepair.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's also going to be part of my action plan. Maybe for next council session, I will have some of these ideas that we are putting together, and which is great that we start talking about it, and we'll finalize the action plan and with some ballpark figures.
That's perfect. And if we can even look at getting the goats up there again, if you think it's that time, at least as we're having, right, we don't want them roaming off the cemetery site, but for the community members who do not know, using goats to graze on the land is a sustainable way to address poison ivy without putting chemicals down there that can be harmful to the environment and the surroundings. So, and it worked very well when it was done years ago. So that would be a great opportunity as well. So, all right, Mr. Hall, we're done. See, I told you we were happy to have you here tonight. We had questions.
Hey, look, we didn't have no goats escaped.
That's right. None of the goats.
Because you had a fence.
No,
That's right.
no, it was electronic.
That's right.
Electronic thing.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. So we'll keep moving on. That completes all the staff reports for tonight. So we'll move forward with our first council report from Councilmember McBride.
I think Chief gave most of my report. Let's see. Okay, for January, I attended the state's attorney Aisha Brave Boys event on behalf of the mayor, which I truly enjoyed, along with Councilmember Rout. It was very interesting and very enlightening. Since I'm still fairly new to this, I'm learning a lot about what goes on within Bladensburg. I also attended the Elizabeth Seton Girls School, where I was invited and toured. I attended the Governor's People's Ball. I participated in the Martin Luther King Day of Service in the Bladensburg Waterfront Park, where we cut down the vines that were choking out our little trees. And let's see, I think that's it. I'm finished.
Okay. Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride. Appreciate your report. Next, we'll move to Councilmember Rout from Ward 1.
my space bar wasn't working. Hi, everyone. Councilmember out here. I have been so busy this last month. Just to run down, it was a pleasure attending all the inaugural balls and celebrations for everyone that was sworn in, including the governor, and everyone else. It was a very joyous occasion. Working alongside my colleagues that had the opportunity to attend the state's attorney's municipal meeting, as well as the COG meeting for the farm committee. It was very robust and very long, and really this is the first meeting that has happened, and Councilmember McBride and all, she oriented me to the meeting, attended on her behalf, and really, because she's our appointed person, but really they just talked about just the trouble that the farmers are having, in addition to the needs of the schools. The schools are not receiving shipments, are not receiving food that comes in from fresh farms, and so which creates it's a domino effect. So this is happening across the nation with the egg shortages, and they just talked about ways that farmers markets can possibly come to cities and towns for the purposes of revitalizing the needs of the farm community. And so I haven't had a chance to talk to my colleagues about it yet, but I would like, when the weather breaks, for us to consider just with eco farms, just another pop-up. Maybe we can just like block off maybe like a section of our street and just have something nice, something. So that was an ask of the COG committee. I've been following lots and lots and lots of legislation that's been happening. The low emissions vehicle program by HB 0487 went up to Annapolis to advocate on that one on behalf of PGCMA in partnership with other municipal leaders. HB 0684, which is Delegate Wilkins' landlord and tenant residential leases and holdover tenancies. So basically that just creates, there's no local just cause for just asking someone that you didn't want to renew their lease. There has to be cause in order for you to ask them to break their lease, because we have had residences that have experienced just some evictions that have not been just. And so this is at the state level. The delegate steward, the landlord and tenant, the failure to repair serious and dangerous defects on tenant remedies. So that's protecting tenants and their needs. And so just, writing letters, supporting and advocating on behalf of that. I had the opportunity to be an expert witness for the health insurance annual behavioral health wellness visits. That's Senator Malcolm Augustine's bill that creates an opportunity for coverage and reimbursements for an annual behavioral health visit. And so this is something that was initiated from the town of Bladensburg, hosting our Mental Health Awareness Day. And then one that's near and dear to my heart, SB 0294, which protects children from being charged with sex trafficking. So that's something that I'm personally tracking because sex trafficking is near and dear to my heart.
Councilmember, that's the time. I want you to be able to wrap up the point, but that's that time.
I'm sorry, can I just announce that I also was appointed to the National Black Caucus for local elected officials as the assistant treasurer. So it's a big, big, big opportunity. And I will be speaking on a national platform, and I will share for mental health for Black History Month. And I will share that flyer with my colleagues, and hopefully the town and you all will support me. It's a HHS, Health and Human Services platform. It's big. Thanks. I'm sorry about going over.
No, good. All good stuff. Wanted you to be able to finish the point. Thank you so much for those updates, Councilmember Rao. And now we'll turn it over to Councilmember Trina Brown from Ward 1.
Yes, thank you so very much, Mayor. Thank all of the mayor and councils for just doing a wonderful job. And I definitely enjoy continuing to work with the mayor and council as we attend these legislative events and with priorities and all of this great, wonderful stuff that we're all doing. But I want to say Happy Black History Month as we continue to make history on a state level and on a municipal level. Yeah, so from the state level, once again, congratulations to our governor, Wes Moore, and the first Black governor, our Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller, the first female of color Lieutenant Governor, also Anthony Brown, our Attorney General, first Black Attorney General, and with our comptroller, Brooke Learman, our first female comptroller for the state of Maryland. So I'm gonna say a little bit more, but then as we continue to make history in Bladensburg, you know, the Prince George's, this Prince George Suites, they did do a write-up regarding your very own mayor and council, all female council, Black council. Yeah, so that's continuing to make history. So we've made history as well. But I do want to talk about the Maryland General Assembly. So I just want to let you all know that one of the things, but there are a few bills that our governor, as he says, leave no one behind, and he's forging on and getting right to work. I want you all to, and I'll tell you where to go, but go and look at some of his bills, because he talks about the House Bill 548, access to the Banking Act. Talks about a couple of ones I want to point out on my time is the House Bill 549, and that's the Fair Wage Act. So that's the legislation that will accelerate the state's $15 an hour minimum wage. So, you know, because, yeah, so go and take a look at that, because he's already accelerating that for us. And I think that the time frame, but our employees covered as of October the 1st. So look at that. You can read a lot more about it. The Clean Energy and Transportation. Also, the Healthcare Act for Heroes, the Keep Our Heroes Home Act. So, and there are other bills to take a look at. So what, where you can go to find out about these bills is you can go to it's the Maryland General Assembly. So it's mgaled.maryland.gov. That's mgaleg.maryland.gov. So you can go there, find out, get involved, stay involved. Let's really look at what's going on. Our delegates and our senators, when they're in Annapolis, they are working tirelessly and they are working very hard for us. Usually pretty, because our Senator Augustine, I mean, they're like 24 bills that he has put forward, and that's a heavy lift right there. So we definitely thank him for that. But Delegate Fennell and Delegate Ivy,
Yes.
and they help us as well. So let's pay attention to what they're doing. They need our support. You don't have to be a mayor or council member to go up there and support. And they're working tirelessly. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of bills that don't get passed, but there are a lot of bills that do get passed and that are meaningful and that affect the lives of us here in the state of Maryland and here in Prince George's County. So
thank you.
Yes. So
yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Brown. And I just wanted to let you know, I did put the link in the chat for the residents so they can see it. And then for the Facebook page, I can also go on after the meeting and just drop it in there as a comment, so that for those who come back and watch this recording, they see exactly where to go to follow the legislation that we're all tracking. So let me start the timer on myself, so there's no cheating over here. Ready, your mark, get set, go. Okay, so in terms of activities for the month of January, I do have a written report. Rich, I just want to proofread it once more, and then I'll send it over to you and just ask that it gets posted this week. I did have an opportunity to attend Delegate Nicole Williams's 295 coalition meeting. She restarted those. The guest speaker was actually State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy, and she really enlightened us about the judicial system as it relates to juvenile offenders and what that process is. I'll be honest, I was very vocal about frustration that it just feels, it may not be reality, but it feels like kids below a certain point are committing these crimes repetitively because the consequences are not there appropriately. And so she really broke that down, included some legislation that's coming up that we can support in terms of having a strong RICO statute to help address those situations. And then separate from that, Delegate Williams did talk about House Bill 106 and requested that those of us on the call would just spread the word, asking for a strong support from the communities with written and oral testimony for that. And as we shared earlier, that will go before committee on February 23rd. In addition to all the activities you heard here, really was proud of Maryland as I participated in the inaugural activities as well as the National Day of Service. In terms of legislation, as was stated earlier, really will be tracking the county legislation as it relates to rent stabilization, but then also the maglev legislation as well. And then separate from that, housing continues to be a serious consideration for Prince George's County. Delegate Marvin Williams did come out here last summer to try to help us address some issues in a local condominium association at Parkway. And in this session, he's got about 3 bills in there to address things specifically related to condo associations that I think will help communities like ours so that we prevent some of the challenges we've been working through over there. So we'll be testifying on all of those and encourage everyone else to do the same. There's like a whole list of them, so I can share that or actually just put a link or screenshot it into my report at the bottom for residents who want to read it and grab that information. But again, just the focus of the meetings really have been getting back on track in January, shaking off the holiday fog and rolling up our sleeves and getting to work, especially with the legislative session upon us. And just look forward to continuing our collaboration with the team. The challenges have not stopped coming, they're intensifying, but what I'm proud of is the fact that we're working together. We're rolling up our sleeves, pulling out our pens, paper, putting our heads together and trying to work through the challenges collectively, and not for our own personal interest, but for the interest of the town of Bladensburg. So thank you all again for the support that you're giving, not just to myself, but to the various members of the town council, as well as our staff on a day-to-day basis. And so with that, we've come to the end of tonight's agenda, and I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I just can't like that.
You're having so much fun, you don't want to start? Is that what I'm
One
hearing?
more thing, Mayor. Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, since you delayed me, happy Black History Month before we
Right.
adjourn. How about that? And I hope to see everyone on February 25th at 3 p.m. at the
Yes.
Bladensburg Community Center. So with that, I will call for a motion again to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded by Councilmember
Valentine's Day, everybody.
Pride. Hearing no further comments or questions other than happy Valentine's Day, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And again, happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Happy
We're
Love
adjourned.
Bye-bye.
Day.
Good meeting.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everyone.
Good night,
everybody.
Bye.